Hello again and welcome to our penultimate weekly quiz. As you will see when we show you the rounds, there is no theme tonight, but there is something with a bit of a difference. So let's have a look at the rounds that we will be doing. The first round is geography, the second round is history, the third round is impossible, more on that later. The fourth round is sport, and the fifth round is our weekly wipeout. As before, there will be 10 questions in each round, and you will just need to write A, B, C, or D for your answer. Most of you are very well versed in doing all of this now. So let's see if we can score a really good score tonight in round one, geography. Question number 1. St. Petersburg, Stockholm, Helsinki and Riga are all cities situated on which sea? A. Black Sea, B. Caspian Sea, C. Baltic Sea, or D. Barents Sea? Which sea do those cities all lie on? Question number 2. Which is the most northerly capital city in Europe? A. Helsinki, B. Reykjavik, C. Oslo, or D. Stockholm? Which of those four is the most northerly? Question 3. What is the name of the longest mountain range in South America? A. Andes, B. Atlas, C. Rockies, or D. the Caucasus? Which is the longest mountain range in South America? Question 4. In which city is the famous Edvard Eriksson statue, The Little Mermaid? A. Amsterdam, B. Copenhagen, C. Brussels, or D. Berlin? Where would you find the Little Mermaid statue? Question 5. The Clifton Suspension Bridge is most closely associated with which British city? A. Newcastle, B. Norwich, C. Nottingham, or D. Bristol? Where is the Clifton Suspension Bridge associated? Question 6. On an OS map with a scale of 1 to 25,000, how many inches represent 1 mile? A. 5, B. 1 1/4, C. 2 1/2, or D. 10? How many inches would it be to represent 1 mile? Question number 7. In which country is the world's highest waterfall? Is it A, Venezuela, B, South Africa, C, Peru, or D, USA? Where is the world's highest waterfall? Question 8. Which river rises in the Himalayas in India and then drains into the Bay of Bengal? A, Indus, B, the Brahmaputra, C, Ganges, or D, Krishna? Which of those rivers starts in the Himalayas and ends in the Bay of Bengal? Question 9. Where is the Bridge of Sighs? A, Cambridge, B, Venice, C, San Francisco, or D, Madrid? Where's the Bridge of Sighs? And the last question, number 10. What is the capital of the Bahamas? A, Bridgetown, B, Port of Spain, C, Nassau, or D, Port-au-Prince? What's the capital of the Bahamas? And that's the end of the geography questions tonight. So we move from geography to history. Round 2, history. Question number 1. Which famous sea battle between the British Royal Navy and the combined fleets of the French and Spanish navies took place on the 21st of October 1805? A, the Battle of Jutland, B, Battle of Trafalgar, C, Battle of the Dardanelles, or D, Battle of Cadiz? Which battle took place on the 21st of October 1805? Question 2. What is the historic collective name for these 5 coastal towns in Kent and Sussex? Hastings, Rye, Hythe, Dover, and Sandwich. A, the Funf ports, B, the Sanko ports, C, the Fife ports, or D, the Sank ports? Collectively, what are those towns called? Number 3. Where did King John sign the Magna Carta? A, Runnymede, B, Hastings, C, the Wash, or D, Hampstead? Where did King John sign the Magna Carta? Number 4. By what name are the difficulties and conflicts in Northern Ireland between 1969 and 1997 known? A. The Anglo-Irish conflict. B. Protestant Catholic conflict. C. The Troubles. Or D. The Irish problem. What are those difficulties known as? Number 5. What was the name of the ship in which Sir Francis Drake sailed around the world? A. The Golden Hind. B. Santa Maria. C. Endeavour. Or D. Victoria. Sir Francis Drake's ship, what was it called? Question 6. Who were the tribal peoples who lived in what is today eastern and northern Scotland from the late Iron Age to the early medieval period? Were they the Gaels, the Angles, the Picts, or the Celts? What were the tribal people called? Question 7. In which century was Thomas Becket, Archbishop of Canterbury, murdered? Was it A. 11th, B. 12th, C. 13th, or D. 14th? Which century was Thomas Becket murdered? Number 8. What was the name of the leader of the rebels in the Peasants' Revolt of 1381? A. Arthur Scargill. B. Henry Hunt. C. Ned Ludd. Or D. Wat Tyler? What was the name of the leader of the rebels of the Peasants' Revolt? Number 9. Whose death sparked World War I? A. Kaiser Wilhelm. B. Archbishop Usher. C. Queen Victoria. Or D. Archduke Ferdinand? Whose death sparked World War I? And the last history question, number 10. Who was the first US president to appear on television? Was it A. Richard Nixon, B. Ronald Reagan, C. Abraham Lincoln, or D. Franklin Roosevelt? Which US president first appeared on television? So we've moved from geography to history, and now we'll move to impossible. And this is something different. And so we've got a couple of examples for you. You will see a question and you will be shown, as usual, 4 answers. One of the answers is correct, which is quite fortunate for you. 2 of the answers are just wrong, but the 4th answer is impossible. It can't be right. So we're going to just show you an example. Example 1. Which Conservative politician was Prime Minister in 1972? Was it A. Edward Heath, B. Alec Douglas-Home, C. Harold Wilson, or D. Harold Macmillan? That wasn't too bad, was it? The correct answer is Edward Heath. The impossible answer is Harold Wilson, because Harold Wilson was a Labour politician, so he couldn't have been a Conservative Prime Minister. So that's example 1. You score no points for that, I'm afraid. And we'll give you another example. Example 2. In a rainbow, which visible colour is at the bottom of the arc? A. Violet, B. Yellow, C. Cyan, or D. Indigo? The correct answer is violet. So you would score 1 point for violet. If you put yellow or indigo, you would score nothing. But the impossible answer is cyan. So if you actually put the impossible answer, instead of scoring 1 point or 0, you will score -1. So be careful. If you're not sure of the answer, try and make sure that you don't put the impossible one, because it's better to score 0 than -1. So I hope you've understood all that, because now we move on to the questions for round 3 and you will start scoring. So remember, try and avoid the impossible answer. Question number 1. Which sign of the zodiac is known as the Archer? A. Sagittarius, B. Aquarius, C. Nefarious, or D. Gemini? Which of those signs is the Archer? Question 2. Which Spanish city shares its name with a type of orange traditionally used to make marmalade? A. Almada, B. Granada, C. Seville, and D. Madrid. Which of those cities shares its name with an orange? Number 3. The name of which handicraft is from the French word that means hook? Is it A. appliqué, B. crochet, C. pentanque, or D. embroidery? Which of those words is derived from the French word that means hook? Number 4. Which British comedian wrote the 2017 book Believe Me, A Memoir of Love, death and jazz chickens? Was it A, Graham Norton, B, Eddie Izzard, C, Peter Kay, or D, Michael McIntyre? Which of those wrote Believe Me, a memoir of love, death, and jazz chickens? Question 5. Which of golf's 4 major championships is always played at the same venue? A, the US Open, B, the Australian Open, C, the Masters, or D, the Open Championship? Which is always played at the same venue? Number 6. Which animal in the nursery rhyme that begins, "There was an old lady who swallowed a fly," is swallowed last? A, horse, B, cow, C, pig, or D, dog? Which did the old lady swallow last? Question 7. Which Taylor Swift single was her first UK top 5 hit? Was it A, Teenage Dream, B, Love Story, C, I Knew You Were Trouble, or D, Gorgeous? Which of those was Taylor Swift's first UK top 5 hit? Number 8. Immediately before adopting the euro, the Netherlands officially used which currency? A, the slotten, B, the kroon, B, the guilder, or D, the franc? Which currency was originally from the Netherlands? Question number, 9. The video to which single by Psy was for 5 years the most played clip on YouTube? A, Gangnam Style, B, Gentleman, C, Entertainer, or D, Good Vibrations? The video to the single by Psy. And the last question, which character portrayed by Sean Bean is a soldier in the Napoleonic Wars? A, Oliver Mellows, B, Ross Poldark, C, Richard Sharp, or D, Boromir? A character portrayed by Sean Bean is a soldier in the Napoleonic Wars. Which one? Well, I hope you missed the impossible ones on those questions. So let's have a look how well you did. The answers for round 1. Question 1, C, the Baltic Sea. Question 2, B, Reykjavik. Question 3, A, Andes. Question 4, B, Copenhagen. Question 5, D, Bristol. Question 6, C, 2.5. Question 7, A, Venezuela. Question 8, C, Ganges. Question 9, B, Venice. And question 10, C, Nassau. How many out of 10? So what about round 2? How did you do? Answers for round 2, number 1, B, the Battle of Trafalgar. Number 2, D, the Cinque Ports. 3, A, Runnymede. 4, C, the Troubles. 5, A, the Golden Hind. 6, C, the Picts. 7, B, 12th century. 8, D, Wat Tyler. 9, D, Archduke Ferdinand. And 10, D, Franklin Roosevelt. Add them up out of 10. And now the answers for round 3. We will give you the correct answer that you score 1 point for, and we will give you the impossible answer that unfortunately you have to have -1 for. If you don't see the answer come up, then you score nothing for the other 2. So round 3, number 1, the correct answer was A, Sagittarius, so you would score 1 point. If you put C, Nefarious, it's -1. Question 2, C, Seville. Impossible, A, Armada. Question 3, B, Crochet. Impossible is C, Patang. Number 4, correct is B, Eddie Izzard. Impossible is A, Graham Norton. 5, correct is C, the Masters. Impossible is B, the Australian Open. Question 6, A, a horse. Impossible is C, pig. 7, B, love story. Impossible, A, teenage dream. 8, C, Gilda. Impossible, A, Slotan. Number 9, A, Gangnam Style. Impossible, D, Good Vibrations. Number 10, C, Richard Sharp. Impossible, B, Ross Poldark. So I hope that you didn't lose many points on that. And so we move to try and get you a few bonus points. Now, last week, people did quite well with the bonus points, and I have to say that we did well with the bonus points, but not quite so well on the wipeout, because I don't think anybody got 20 in the wipeout round last week, but I do hope that nobody got 0. So the highest total for last week was 49, but it was very close because the second group got 48. So well done for last week, but can we get bonus points for this week? And this week, the bonus points are you've got to work out which one of the answers that we give you, or the words that we give you, is the odd one out. Now, I've had a little bit of a discussion about this first example, but it is only an example, so don't worry about it. The words that come up, 3 of them are obviously linked in some way, and 1 is the odd one out. So let's have a look at the first example. So the first example includes Prince Charles, Prince Andrew, Princess Anne, or Prince William. Which is the odd one out? The answer is Prince William, because Prince Charles, Prince Andrew and Princess Anne are children of the Queen. Prince William is a grandson. However, I did say Charles, William and Andrew are males and Anne is female, so I would have justified that one. But it was for no point, so we don't have to worry. We have another example. Trunk, branch, leaf, tree. Which is the odd one out? The odd one out is tree, because the tree is the whole thing. Trunk, branch and leaf are parts of a tree. And we have one more example. Tiger, cat, dog, lion. Which is the odd one out? And it is dog, because tiger, cat and lion are members of the cat family. So it's not rocket science, it's not that difficult, don't panic. Can you find the odd ones out for the bonus points? So from now on, these are the ones that you will have to write down, because you will now start your scoring. So if we are ready, the first bonus point one. So how did we do? The odd ones out. Let's try and mark them and see how many we got. Number 1, the odd one out was Edinburgh. Number 2, Sweden. Number 3, Easter. Number 4, universe. Number 5, tomato. Number 6, piano. Number 7, cube. Number 8, flower. Number 9, futile. And number 10, sharpener. They were the odd ones out. So, as before, we won't give you 10 marks. If you got none right, then you score no bonus points. If you got 1, 2, 3 or 4 bonus points, answers right, you score 1 bonus point. If you got 5, 6 or 7, you score 2 bonus points. Or if you got 8, 9 or 10, you scored 3 bonus points. So hopefully you've got a few more to add to your total score. And so we're ready then to move back to round 4, which is the sport round. Question 1. Who was head coach when England won the Rugby Union World Championship in 2003? A. Andy Robinson. B. Brian Ashton. C. Clive Woodward. Or D. Martin Johnson. Who was the head coach in 2003? Question 2. The Millennium, which is now the Principality Stadium, was built in 1999 as the home of Welsh rugby. What was the name of the stadium that it replaced? Was it A. Liberty Stadium, B. Marston Stadium, C. Penrhyn Avenue, or D. Cardiff Arms Park? The Millennium Stadium. What was the name of the stadium it replaced? Number 3. What proportion of a mile is a furlong? It's a now abolished official measurement, but it is a distance that's still used in British horse racing. So how far of a mile? Is it half a mile, a quarter of a mile, eighth of a mile, or 16th of a mile? A furlong. How far? Number 4. In tennis, what score always follows deuce? A. 30-40, B. Advantage, C. Love all, or D. Game? What follows deuce in tennis? Number 5. Which is the only city to have held the Summer Olympic Games on 3 occasions? A. London, B. Paris, C. Mexico, or D. Moscow? Which city has held the Games on 3 occasions? Number 6. Which Olympic sport is played with stones and brooms? A. Long jump. B. Curling. C. Weightlifting. Or D. Snowboarding. What sport uses stones and brooms? Number 7. Who, at the 2008 Olympics, became Britain's most successful swimmer for 100 years? A. Rebecca Adlington. B. Adam Peaty. C. Elizabeth Simmons. Or D. Mark Foster. At the 2008 Olympics, who was the most successful swimmer for 100 years? Number 8. Linford Christie was the oldest person to win gold in the 100 metres at the Olympic Games. But at which Games did he achieve this? A. Atlanta. B. Sydney. C. Barcelona. Or D. Athens. Where did Linford Christie win gold? Number 9. In snooker, what score is generally accepted to be the maximum score in one break? A. 147. B. 149. C. 153. Or D. 155. What is the maximum score in a break? Number 10. In which country would you find the Cresta run? A. Austria. B. Norway. C. Switzerland. Or D. France. Where's the Cresta run? And that was the last question of that round. So that's the end of sport for tonight. So we move on to our wipeout round. I'm sure most of you will remember how to play it, but if there is anybody different, there are still 10 questions, still A, B, C and D. You still get a point for the questions that you answer correctly. If you answer all 10 correctly, instead of 10 points, we kindly give you 20 points. If you don't know an answer, leave it blank. And the questions that you do answer, if you get them all right, then you score the number of points for the number of questions that you've got right there. If, however, you answer a question and as soon as you answer one question wrong, instead of scoring the number of points, your points are wiped out by the wrong answer and you score 0. So one answer could make all the difference in this round. It could take you to 20 points or it could take you down to 0. So you have to work out whether it's worth it. So let's see how many scores are wiped out. Question 1. How many rings are on the Olympic flag? A. 4. B. 5. C, 6, or D, 7? How many rings on the Olympic flag? Question 2. How did Spider-Man get his powers? A, a military experiment. B, he was born with them. C, after a strange dream. Or D, bitten by a spider. How did Spider-Man get his powers? Number 3. In darts, what's the most points you can score with a single throw? A, 50, B, 60, C, 100, or D, 180? In a single throw, what's the most points you can score? Number 4. Which of these animals does not appear in the Chinese zodiac? A, bear, B, rabbit, C, dragon, or D, dog? Which of those does not appear in the Chinese zodiac? Number 5. This symbol is used on computers to show a paragraph mark. What's its name? A, a fermata, B, a pilcrow, C, an interrobang, or D, a biltong? What's the name of that paragraph symbol? Number 6. How many points is the letter X worth in the English language Scrabble? A, 4, B, 5, C, 8, or D, 10? What's the value of the letter X in English Scrabble? Number 7. Which of these means a speech in a play where a character talks to themselves rather than to other characters? Is it A, a monologue, B, a review, C, a side, or D, soliloquy? What's it called when a character talks to themselves? Number 8. In The Vicar of Dibley, what was the name of the vicar's clueless friend? A, Alice, B, Beatrice, C, Charlotte, or D, Geraldine? What was the name of the vicar's clueless friend? Number 9. Who was Mayor of London before Boris Johnson? A, Zach Goldsmith, B, Sadiq Khan, C, Ken Livingstone, or D, John Major? Who was the Mayor of London before Boris Johnson? And the last question of tonight's quiz, question 10. Which 2 calendar months are named after Roman emperors? A. June and July, B. May and December, C. July and August, or D. April and August? Which of those 2 months are named after Roman emperors? Just give you a minute in case you want to decide which ones you're going to cross out or leave in. Are we sure of 9 of them and we want to have a go with that 10th, or are there 2 or 3 that we're not sure of? Is it worth the gamble? Let's have a look. Round 4 answers. A, or number 1, not A, number 1, C, Clive Woodward. Number 2, D, Cardiff Arms Park. Number 3, C, an 8th. Number 4, B, Advantage. Number 5, A, London. Number 6, B, Curlin. Number 7, A, Rebecca Adlington. Number 8, D, Athens. Number 9, A, 147. And number 10, C, Switzerland. So add that to your scores from rounds 1, 2, 3 and the bonuses. And we'll see how the wipeout round has helped you. Number 1, B, 5. Number 2, D, he was bitten by a spider. Number 3, B, 60. Number 4, A, bear. Number 5, B, pilcrow. Number 6, C, 8. Number 7, D, soliloquy. Number 8, A, Alice. Number 9, C, Ken Livingstone. Number 10, C, July and August. I'm not sure whether I can hear cheering or groans, but add all your totals together and it's out of a possible 63 if you've doubled your points. Last time, because nobody went for the wipeout, 49, 48 were really good scores, because that would really have been out of 53. So 49 out of 53, 48 out of 53 is really, really good. So well done. If you'd have gone for the wipeout, you'd have done really well, wouldn't you, with those scores? So have we got a tie? Or even, if you haven't got a tie, if you want to have a go between you and anybody else who's in the household to see who can get nearest to the tiebreaker question. We know that some people do this just for a bit of fun between partners. So let's see tonight's tiebreaker question. How many episodes of Friends were made? You need to write down the answer, and we won't accept too many or not enough. How many episodes of Friends were made? Now, if you watched it religiously every week, you might have a better idea than I had, because I don't think I've seen above 2 or 3 episodes at all. But I think one of my daughters would have had a better idea. So how many did you put? Actually, there were 236 episodes of Friends. So who was the nearest? Have we got a winner? Have we got somebody who said, oh, I was much nearer than you were? So well done. Thank you for joining in with tonight's quiz. Let me remind you that next week will be the last one that we do for a while. When you see the bit at the end, when I finish talking and you see the water at the end, David will put up something that you can click on if you have missed any of the quizzes and you would like to do them again or do them for the first time. So there will be an opportunity for you to click on past quizzes at the end of this quiz. So thank you very much for taking part. We hope that you will be able to join us again next week. In the meantime, please stay safe, good night, and God bless you all.